For Crema Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dlamini. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss his column titled Violence, Hunger and Indifference During Lockdown. So Raymond, are you not overcritical of President Ramaphosa's handling of the lockdown?
Well, I believe that the initial decision to have a state of disaster and a lockdown was very decisive and very important. But I think a lot of things happened which were very difficult to anticipate. For example, the level of hunger, and that one became face to face with the inequalities of South Africa. That where I live in Observatory, it's very easy to observe social distance, to observe hygiene. I live in a house. Even in prison, I had access to water and a roof over my head and bars around me. And people in Diepsloot and parts of Khayelitsha don't have even the facilities that you have in a prison. So when faced with inequality, instead of trying to hear from people what are their difficulties in complying, they just dawned them up or arrested them. Like I think 100 or 200,000 people have been arrested. And I think that it was incumbent on the president to actually ensure that the security forces observed the law, because to use violence, there's a video of a man going around Hillbrow, or a police car going around Hillbrow, and a man getting out of the car in plain clothes and whipping people, then getting back into the car. And there's a lot of these cases of violence, random violence, people standing in queues, having rubber bullets thrown at them, people made to do demeaning, humiliating exercises. Now that's illegal. And the president has only made a very oblique allusion to this. I think he should have come down strongly. And Becky Cele has never admitted he's done anything wrong. He thinks even if they made people frog march, the question is, where were they when they were frog march? And even if you are breaking a regulation, police are not allowed to make you do humiliating exercises. The job of the police is to be helpers and protectors and explain to them must go back to their houses or hear why they can't or what the reasons are. So that would be one reason. I also think that the consequence of the lockdown was to throw a lot of people out of work and to make businesses close and create hunger. And I think that in the time that has elapsed, there has been a very inflexible way of doing this on the part of the ministers responsible, and the ministers are accountable to the president. So that is another reason why I would criticize. But I think it was very difficult to implement the lockdown. A lot of things happened that were difficult to anticipate. So I understand that. However, I believe once you saw what was happening, it was important to speed up the provision of food relief and a number of things, but it took them long to do it, and they excluded foreigners. We come back to what I say in the Freedom Charter interview, that all should have been given food. Everybody, as the Constitution says, everyone should have been given food.
How could the authorities have anticipated the hunger that resulted from the lockdown? What did you expect them to do?
Well, I think that it had to it happened very quickly, but immediately you throw people out of work, people who don't have resources, you understand that they will not have resources to subsist, whether in terms of food, health care, a whole lot of other things. And they needed to not put regulations in place that were very difficult to access. For example, some people are living in areas where they don't have money and they need to get chronic medication. No, even now, proper facilities for that have not been put in place. School children, they knew school children depended on that one meal a day, and they didn't have something in its place. And you've got a situation now where malnutrition is going to have long-term effects. Even now with opening up, it's not a full opening up. And I just think that they couldn't anticipate these things, everything. But once it happened, they needed to remove bureaucratic obstacles so that people could access the benefits that were being provided, supposedly provided by government.
And lastly, what should be done about the violence of the SAPS as well as the SANDF?
Well, the law must take its course with law enforcement officials like everyone else. They must be charged. They must be suspended first, and they must be charged. And a lot of these people are still on duty, even when cases have been opened against them or police stations refuse to open cases. And there's a sense of impunity on the part of the police and the SANDF. Now, if the ministers concerned are whitewashing what they have done, as in the case of Collins Khosa's murder, the president must ensure that things are done according to the book.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Crima Media's Polity about his column titled Violence, Hunger and Indifference During Lockdown.